Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Lessons from London. This time I am going to be recapping my November 2024, and it's so ironic because it's right now November 2025 and I feel almost exactly the same way as I felt this time last year. Recently one of my friends was like, how does it feel being back in Toronto? And honestly, it's been like how many months now? I don't even remember. But I remember saying to her, it feels like I am back, like my body's back, like I'm physically present, but like my emotions, I think they're still on the plate, like they're still on their way back. And honestly, that's how I felt, because if you watch the last episode, I had talked about finally saying goodbye to Toronto. And in a lot of ways, I did feel like I had let go my attachment to it. I still had some lingering commitments. I had been part of training thing at my church then that was actually wrapping up that month, like in November, which is ironic because that's exactly the same thing that I'm having right now with something I was doing or I am doing with my church in London. And so in a way, I felt like neither here nor there, and that's why I titled this video that. And when I was thinking about that, the word that came to my mind was liminality. The first time I heard this word was sometime in 2020. It was an article my friend had sent to me about like this experience of what being in the liminal phase was like, and it was, I think, either like the most searched word or the most popular word of 2020, which we don't talk about 2020, but we know what happened then. So it kind of explains it. And for me, I think it was around this time last year that I had completed the reading by Turner on liminality and communitas, which was sort of required reading for my course. And so liminality was just like this phrase that honestly I kind of felt when I read it then kind of characterized my entire year in London, but very much so felt present in November. And essentially this idea of liminality is when you're kind of in the in-between. So when this stage or like a structure as it has been has broken down, but the new one hasn't quite emerged yet. And so in the essay on liminality of communities, Turner talks about it and kind of likens it to a womb, like the darkness of a womb, like a child is not yet born, but the child is being formed, and you know, it would be in this next stage like a human being. I like to think about it as like a cocoon phase, like you're no longer a caterpillar, you're not yet a butterfly, you're like in this in-between where like your body's kind of broken down, it's dark, you're not quite sure where you're going to emerge as. That was how I felt in November. So I think in a lot of ways, like even though I had said goodbye to Toronto, I was still kind of settling into like London living or like London life. Like I was still buying plates, or well, to be fair, a friend bought a plate for me then. But I also discovered like things that I really liked, even though London was still not on the list as a whole. But you know, Waitrose, the Belgian chocolate frozen yogurt, and no one should come for me for Waitrose, for going and shopping at Waitrose. Like, for if you're not from the UK, you're probably like, what is she on about? But the way UK people take like grocery like classification is wild. Like everyone was roasting me so hard for going to Waitrose, and I had to defend myself. I was like, Waitrose is the only place that feels like home, like feels like Sobeys, which is where I go to here in Canada. Like I can go into Waitrose and I know I'm going to find what I want to find, and it doesn't look like it's been raided and an apocalypse has just happened, which is exactly how I felt going to Lidl, even though the price is a little bit like actually kind of like, it was obscene. Like it was just so cheap. So I get the little like, but I was just like, I can't do it. And again, Waitrose had my Belgian chocolate frozen yogurt. I was not going to give that up. I really wasn't. Like if I had been able to like bring back tubs of that frozen yogurt, I would have. But unfortunately, till next time, next time I'm there, I'm definitely going to go for that. So I discovered that. I also went to Richmond, UK, which first time I went to a place and I was, this is actually quite nice. I do like the vibe here. Like, this is a mood. And also like maybe part of it is because I saw the Ted Lasso film inside. On my flight to London, I had watched Ted Lasso. Even though I wanted to watch it for the longest time. I watched it for the first time on my flight because I was like, you know, an American going to the UK, kind of sounds like me. And so I did find it to be like a really great show, a really fun show. And so being there, seeing that, it just got me so excited. And also, in addition to that, one of my high school friends did like an American Thanksgiving housewarming party, and it was so nice to see like people I hadn't seen since high school, catch up with my friends from such a long time ago, and also meet her friends. So it was honestly, it was vibey. It was becoming vibey. Like, I don't know if it was London itself, but things were beginning to look up. And my church also had like an American Thanksgiving lunch too, because there's a lot of Americans who went to my church. And so I think about the latter half or the latter parts of Turner's Liminality and Communities, where he talks about how lots of bonds are formed with people who are experiencing this like in-between stage together. And sure, like some of this so far has been like people who also weren't students, but I was beginning to connect with my classmates as well. I know in November was when we did some research. So I had a group of classmates from my program, specifically Anthropology and Professional Practice, where I was doing the methods in ethnography class with, and we were doing our research. I was beginning to get to know more of them, feeling like one of them, even though they're like discovered my age and we're like, what? And then I discovered their ages and I was like, guys. So I feel like in a way I was like, okay, I feel like I'm actually becoming like a student. That's wild. And I'd also started the Anthropology of Fashion reading a research group with another one of my classmates from Anthropology of Fashion. And so that was fun. That was like, okay, things are beginning to emerge. I guess new structures are beginning to emerge, even though generally there was still this space of like ambiguity and the unknown. And I also caught up with Soyeon, who had met and become friends with like almost immediately in September. We bonded then over like just the questions that we had. And this is what we ended up talking a lot about when we met up, was just like this feeling of, I don't know, I got brought me to London. I can't say that I particularly love it, but you know, I'm here. I am embracing it. You know, it is really what it is. And so we had just so many questions and not enough answers. Honestly, no answers at all. And it's funny because I was actually recently talking to someone about this. So it's like, I feel like God just likes us having questions for him, even though we don't get clarity, because it tells us or reminds us to trust in him. And so as I was reflecting on it, I was like, I don't know that I have one strong lesson, like one momentous moment from November, but I definitely have this feeling of just like learning to walk with God in uncertainty and ambiguity. I remembered this framed picture my mom had in my parents' bedroom growing up, and in it there's like this image of footsteps, a pair of footsteps, and at certain points there's just one set of footsteps instead of two. And in it there's this like little write-up that I'm going to heavily paraphrase, and it was basically this guy talking to God and was like, oh, you were walking with me, but I noticed like the moments where it's just one set of footsteps were the hardest times in my life, and you just abandoned me. Like, what the heck? And then God is like, bruh, those set of footsteps are my set of footsteps. Like, I did not abandon you. I was carrying you. That's what happened. That's why there's only one set of footsteps. And so when I kind of think about that, I think that's kind of how I felt. Like, I felt like I was going through this experience of uncertainty, and at the same time, God is like, yeah, it's okay. You don't know what's going to come, but you know, trust me, lean on me, let me carry you. Don't feel like you have to carry yourself. And in a lot of ways, I feel like that really was just exemplified by my entire time in London. Like, I would almost describe my entire time in London as liminality, or the liminal space, but that's to come at the end. Essentially, I would say November felt more just like things were setting the stage for what was to come. It was still not quite formed. There was a lot of ambiguity, but I was learning to live with that uncertainty. So that was what November looked like. Things begin to sort of come together in the following months. So I hope to see you in the next episode about December. Till then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.